Broadcasting live from WOYK's downtown studios inside Santander Stadium. Welcome to Revs Hot Stove Weekly, your preseason home for York Revolution baseball, and the only place to hear the latest player signings first. Revs Hot Stove Weekly on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. First in York, first in sports. Now, here are the hosts of Revs Hot Stove Weekly, Darryl Henry and Atlantic League Manager of the Year, Mark Mason.
Well, you have half of us this week. Mace is on the road. He will be joining us by phone on this week's show. Welcome in, everyone. Darryl Henry with you as we welcome you to the next edition of Revs Hot Stove Weekly. The weekly program that Revs fans have come to love. It is your source for the latest off-season news and player signings. And this week, it is also the very first show that we have ever done in our brand new studio overlooking Brooks Robinson Plaza here at the front of Santander Stadium. Welcome, everybody. Have another exciting show on tap here over the next hour. 3 new player signings to talk about. And for the first time ever, one of our player signings joins us live in studio. One of the players signed for the upcoming season. We will unveil him here shortly. I thought maybe it would be fun to do some sort of who am I type game with the fans and the listeners, but the show only has an hour to it, and we have a lot to talk about. Mace, as we said, will join us. We had him over the phone earlier today to get his thoughts on what has transpired this week. So without further ado, like I said, we have our first signing this week live in studio with us, our first ever guest here in our brand new studio. Actually, Ray, I think we have some breaking news, don't we?
Great Odin's Raven! I've just been handed an urgent news story, and I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
Yes, you heard it here first, as you do every week at this time. And joining us here in studio, the newest member of the 2015 Revs, returning after a brief and impressive stint at the end of last year, lefty reliever Joe Harris. Joe, welcome, and congratulations on signing back here.
Thanks, Darryl. Thanks for having me.
And you literally just signed your contract like 20 minutes ago. I watched you do it. I guess that was important because it has to be official for you to come on the program, right?
Yeah, they want these things to be official before they announce them nowadays.
Well, you are in the York area, and I know you've grown to enjoy this place quite a bit. If you could give us a little background on what brings you around here, and obviously you're looking forward to this upcoming season and making this your home to start 2015 as opposed to finishing 2014.
I mean, before last season, I'd moved into the area and then went out to play in Fargo, talked to the manager out there, finalized my contract, and then they, at the end of the year, had traded me to York, which was a perfect fit since I'd lived in the area. At the end of last year, sat down with Mace, told him I loved playing here. Unfortunately, part of that deal was for me to be sent back to Fargo. Mace told me before I left that he was going to do what he could to get me back here, and now I'm here.
Yeah. And by the way, we'll have Joe in here for roughly the first 15 minutes at least. So because Mace isn't here, if you want to send Joe a question on Facebook or Twitter, I'm sure you'd be happy to answer.
Absolutely.
Somewhat happy?
Absolutely.
Relatively happy? You can contact the show on Facebook at WOYK 1350, our Facebook page. Like us there, message us there, or tweet at us at WOYK 1350. Ray is on top of it. Joe, I know I owe you a Twitter follow back, so I apologize for that. But
yeah, you might want to step that up a little bit.
And there is room to improve with that in my game. So Joe Harris, the newest member of the 2015 Revs, and what did you like so much about being here last season? And you know, obviously, I'm sure the level of play is to your liking, but also the environment around here, and what made you want to come back so much?
Just the competition. Competition was a lot tougher than what I was accustomed to out in Fargo. Just being here close to home helped a lot. And then also coming in here and just seeing how the guys went about their business, how the program was run here and how the organization handled things really made you feel at home and made you want to come back.
And obviously Mason Fletch, you work with those two guys a ton. Tell us about how you were informed of the good news that you would be able to open your season here, and you told me Fletch was the guy that told you?
Yeah, Fletch, I was actually working when he told me. Got a text from him saying, hey, deal's official, you'll be coming back with us. And then he was just excited to be having me back and was excited to be back. Then the following day, Mace sent me a text and said, hey, deal's done, you're back here. We need you to come up here, sign your contract, get a hold of Nate. However you want to get it done, just get it signed.
Well, to give the listeners some background, probably should have done this up front, but Joe appeared in 7 games out of the York bullpen last season. Just 2 runs given up, both in the first appearance. So after that, all scoreless, and then also 3 scoreless outings in the postseason. 4 years with Fargo Moorhead of the American Association to begin your career. And obviously a lot of success there, 10-3 in 2013. Baseball America's all-independent team, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Did that kind of, and we've had guys that have started their career in that league or the Frontier League and then have come here, and I guess it almost, I don't know if it serves as kind of this similar to a farm system, and then you come here and maybe get noticed and picked up. Is that kind of your mindset heading into this season? Were you kind of able to develop your skills as a pro there, and now you're trying to take that next step and maybe get a shot?
Felt like I had decent stuff through my whole career there. I got here, and Fletch had talked with me about making a few minor adjustments after that first outing, especially after that first outing where you go out there, first time with a team, you're trying to show what you got, and you go out there and give up a few runs. Most organizations are going to kind of put you in a back burner right there. Mason Fletch just got me right back out there, and it showed a little bit more confidence that they had in me and helped me get through that little speed bump in the road there. And then from there, it seems like it took off pretty well there for me.
I would say so. And the off season, I know you spent some time in Venezuela. What was that experience like for you? And how did you throw down there, too?
That was a completely different world down there. Huge difference. Just you go to the field, and at the start of the game, you look out along the warning tracks, and you're seeing officers with guns and dogs on the field. Apparently they can riot down there. But didn't throw the ball the greatest down there. I'd taken a few months off, so wasn't really sure what was going on down there. And then the time of the year that I was down there was when all the foreign guys are trying to get contracts. So if you're an import down there, you're kind of expendable. So they just are trying to get their guys promoted to be seen at that time.
Yeah. Well, and you mentioned you were working during this offseason. In fact, when you got the call from Fletch, what else have you been involved in? What's the off-season job for you, if you don't mind sharing?
Myself and 2 other people we're starting up a baseball facility in Royersford, Pennsylvania. Our big thing is we're just trying to get kids a complete game from every aspect: fielding, hitting, pitching, whatever. With the connections that I have and the connections that all these other guys have, is we've gone out and we've gotten probably one of the greatest instructing staffs there are. All of our instructors are professional guys. They've had a professional contract, rather than going to these places and you're seeing JUCO guys or guys that don't really have more than high school experience. So we went out and recruited the best guys we could to bring them into the facility.
Very cool. And is it built now, or is it still under construction? How's it coming along?
We're still under construction. All of our cages are up right now. Mm-hmm. There's a few minor things like our weight rooms needs to get done. All that equipment needs to get in. We're still working on installing the dirt mounds that we're putting in. We got 2 virtual hitting machines that we're putting in, and that'll be up and running after that then.
Were you surprised at how much work maybe goes into something like that? I can only imagine.
It's an insane amount of work.
Yeah.
Just you wouldn't even believe it until you sat down and tried to figure out the plan, and then just trying to get everything set for certain days, and then snowstorms back it up, and next thing you know, you're 2 months behind.
Do you enjoy that, though? Do you enjoy seeing it come together and that type of business?
Oh, you definitely love seeing the starting where you started and now to where we're seeing the finish line.
Yeah.
It's a great feeling.
Talking with Joe Harris, who just signed his contract to return to York, and again, it was a trade of rights, his rights acquired from Fargo Moorhead of the American Association, and much closer to home. You mentioned Royersford is where the facility is, and from Douglasville originally, and both of those suburbs are near Philly, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, about anywhere from 45 to an hour northwest of Philly.
Or 3 hours, depending on traffic.
Or that.
All right, so you're a Philadelphia sports fan, as am I. Obviously, the big news is the Shady trade. What do you think as far as what the Eagles pulled off?
I like the deal. Yeah. I think we're getting a good young linebacker there. We're getting a lot of cap space, which is going to hopefully help our defense out a little bit here.
And, of course, a Flyers fan. Did you have something that you wanted to share for Mr. Garcia after Saturday's big win over the Rangers?
See, I want to keep bragging on him that the Flyers are beating the Rangers, but it's hard to when my team is still 4 points out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean he doesn't let it go when the Rangers are on top. So any chance that we get, we kind of have to throw one in there.
Very true. But I know my luck that if I start bragging about something, the Flyers are going to really start to tank right now.
Well, and also, Joe, you had mentioned that you made a quick trip to Florida. You flew down to Florida for lunch the other day, and actually, no, you threw for the Mets. How'd that go for you? Yeah,
I got a call a few weeks ago that Mets were inviting me down to a spring training workout. Went down there for I think five hours. Shortest trip of Florida in my life. Went down there, threw for him. Wasn't up to par for where I should have been. Threw the ball well, though, so we'll see what happens here in the next few weeks.
Yeah, and did you have to get the workout in and get back to the airport? Did you already have the return trip booked? Was it a little anxious at all?
We already had the return trip booked. Coming back into that ice storm, I was worried if I was going to get home that night.
Oh, yeah.
Last flight out into Philly.
So is the plan for you to get on the field here, now that you're in York? I mean, once this stuff melts, are you looking forward to getting out and stretching it out a little bit more so than just throwing in the batting cage?
Absolutely. I just can't wait to get on the field and start long toss and start running around again.
Yeah. So where are you at this point with that whole process? What's a normal day in your training routine at this point in the year?
I mean, right now it's just going to be getting to the gym, throwing 3 times a week, nothing too serious yet, just trying to work the body back into it. And then probably in another 2 to 3 weeks really start to fire it up, getting ready for the season.
And always eat breakfast before you work out, right? A lesson that I learned the hard way today.
Yeah, I'm not a big breakfast fan.
Neither am I, but it reared its ugly head. Well, Joe, thank you very much for joining us here in studio. The contract is signed, sealed, and delivered. You will begin this season in York. We're thrilled to have you back here, and congratulations on getting that done, and thanks for being our first ever guest here. I'm sure this will be a career highlight for you that you were the first guest in our new studio.
First time it's something.
There you have it. Joe Harris is signed and returning for the 2015 season, headed for a spot in the Revs bullpen. Mace will join us in segment 2 and get his thoughts on being able to lock up Joe for a second season in York. Stay tuned. You're listening to Revs Hot Stove Weekly here on Sports Radio 1350, WOYK 1350.com, and the WOYK mobile apps.
Turning a double play takes teamwork, and so does preparing for life's challenges. Murray Securus works with you, hand in hand, providing thoughtful solutions to help you plan for the future. Team up with Murray Securus for safer, more secure risk management, personal insurance, health benefits, wealth management, even cutting-edge human resource solutions for individuals and small to large businesses. Living life in a winning way just takes a little teamwork. Call Murray Securus today at 397-9600 or go to murrayins.com.
Black Cat Brewing Company is a new brew pub featuring 8 taps of fresh, high-quality craft beer brewed on premises. Enjoy a variety of pub food including appetizers, soups, panini sandwiches, and desserts which are prepared by Red Lion's own Red Brick Bakery. Enjoy a casual, inviting, and family-friendly atmosphere as you relax with family and friends while enjoying some of the area's finest craft beer at Black Cat Brewing Company, located at 5 West High Street and Red Lion. Open Thursdays from 4 to 9 p.m. and Fridays and Saturdays from 3 to 10. Check out Black Cat Brewing Company online at blackcatbrew.com and on Facebook. Hey Revs fans, the York Evolution is holding an individual ticket sale party this Saturday, March 7th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The first 100 people to purchase a ticket will get a free York Evolution fitted hat. And also Revs fans, after you purchase your individual game tickets, let your voice be heard on York's local sports station, Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. Stop by the new WOYK 1350 studio located just across from the Apple Chevrolet ticket office. Stop on in and record a plug letting all of York County know you listen to Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
After claiming their 10th straight district title, the York Catholic girls start the quest for their first state title since 2008 on the high school basketball game of the week presented by WellSpan Sports Medicine Friday night. I'm Ron Ruman. Andy Bria and I have the call as the Irish take on District 2 3-seed Holy Cross. York Catholic's senior-laden squad will need its experience against a talented Lady Crusader team led by Coach Barry Fitzgerald, who won his 500th career game earlier this year. York Catholic Holy Cross in the girls' state tournament Friday at 7 on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. York Adams champion West York starts its state tournament run Saturday on the high school basketball game of the week presented by WellSpan Sports Medicine. I'm Ron Ruman, and I'll have the action as the Bulldogs hit the road to face District 2 runner-up North Pocono all the way up in Scranton. As the District 3 3-seed, West York expected a game closer to home. Can they use the PIAA snub as motivation? Find out Saturday at 12:30 on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Hey, this is Mark Malone from NBC Sports Radio. The Revs play here. Catch York Revolution Baseball on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Joe Harris is in the fold. He's on the roster. He's also in the studio with us here in our brand new studios, which would have hosted Game Day with Game Time PA yesterday, but the snowfall shutting down all of the greater York areas. So those guys will be in here next Thursday. We get to host the first show in here today. And again, tweet and Facebook any comments, questions you have for Joe. Mace is on the road this week, so Joe is our in-studio guest. And he's ready to sit on the hot seat. You've sat on the hot seat with me, Joe, so we're opening it up to the fans. I don't know which is more uncomfortable.
I think a little bit more with you. Never know what you're going to go with there.
No, neither do I sometimes. But give us a shout on Facebook or on Twitter. And in the meantime, we do have Mace on our program quite a bit here this week. Spent a lot of time with him on the phone earlier this morning, getting his thoughts on the signings. And we start off with the guy who's right next to me here in this segment, Joe. Well, Mace joining us by phone here this week, out visiting back home in Western PA. First of all, how are the conditions out there? How are you making out?
Very snowy and very cold. I think the same that you're seeing in York as of the last couple of days.
So you didn't go out there to get away from the weather, did you?
No, I actually shoveled snow for the first time in probably 3 or 4 years since I moved out to York. So, it brought back some fun memories. But, yeah, we did get a significant amount of snow here in the Pittsburgh area and, very cold temperatures, pretty much the same weather I saw that you had in York past couple days.
Yeah. Well, and, without getting into, obviously, specific names down the road, Has it been a productive week for you beyond just the three guys that we're announcing this week? Have you made some more headway remotely, I guess, while you're putting this team together?
Yeah, there was a lot of headway made this week. Probably picked up another 4 or 5 guys, and a few of those guys were confirmations that I was waiting on over the past couple weeks. So it's been a busy week here. A lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, and a lot of text messages. So it was very productive, and we're happy with what transpired here in the last couple days.
Well, we'll start it off with our first signing announced. And do you want to say hi to him here in studio?
Hi, Joe. Sorry I can't be there to see you, but I know we've been in contact a lot over the past couple months, so it was good to finally get your deal done.
Awfully nice message there from manager to player. So yeah, starting with Joe Harris here this week, and we've already talked to him a little bit, introducing our first live guest in our new studio. I'm sorry that can't be you, Mace. We'll make your debut in the new studio next week. But Joe, who's been here locally in York this off season, and obviously with talking to him and with me talking to him and you talking to him, he's definitely excited to be here at the start of the season, right?
Well, he definitely is. I'm very excited to have him back. We saw a short sampling of what he can do last year when he came and pitched for us. I think the only semi-rough outing he had was the first one in Somerset, which was after about 6 days in a car. But after that, he pitched great in the postseason and at the end of our regular season. So he did a great job, and I know he's a solid left-handed reliever, and he makes our bullpen better.
Well, he's 6'3", pretty big frame. How would you describe his stuff? From what I remember last year, pretty good stuff-wise to go along with a pretty tough makeup that you would want to see out of your bullpen too.
He definitely has, the reliever makeup. He's very, he's just very competitive. Great changeup. I just threw a great changeup last year. Kept a lot of guys off balance. And he knows what he's doing. Fletcher and I talked about it last year when he pitched, and you can tell he has a plan, and he knows what he's doing out there. So he was real effective, and I think he'll be one of the better left-handers in our league this year.
Mark Mason joining us by phone this week, and when you acquired Joe last year, how did that first come about? Obviously, at the end of the year, you have a limited number of those moves that you can make. How did you kind of identify him and select him and make sure that was one of your additions last season?
Well, I was looking for some bullpen help, obviously going into the postseason to strengthen us a little bit, give us a little more depth. When you're playing a lot of games in a short amount of time in the postseason after a long season, we wanted to make sure that, we had enough left-handers to cover what we needed. And I saw Joe's stats, and I knew his manager, Doug Simonik. I've known Doug for a long time. And I was able to contact Doug to make a deal where, we could trade for Joe to have him at the end of the season. And then the deal was that we would trade Joe back at the end of the season, which we did. And, Joe had a conversation with Doug and, basically decided that Doug would give him an opportunity to come here to the Atlantic League and continue to play for us. And I appreciated that very much because it's hard to move some of your better players. I've done that with guys in the past like Garcia and Rosario and Ramostella and a bunch of those kind of players that went from the Frontier League into this league. But, it's hard when you're going to move one of your better players, but I think good managers do what's best for the career of the player. And I think that Doug and I think a lot in that same vein. So we try to do what's best for the player and give him an opportunity. So we finally were able to get that done in this past couple of days while I've been on the road. And so we have Joe officially here with us now, and it should be a fun year for him, and we're looking forward to watching him play.
Yeah, some of those names you mentioned, obviously, Travis Garcia played for you in the Frontier League. John Ramostella, formerly of Southern Maryland. People remember him. Was that Olmo Rosario that you had there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Olmo, too. And everybody knows Olmo from, playing over in Lancaster most recently. So, those are all guys that did great jobs in the Frontier League that basically had done all they could do there and needed to try their skill at a higher level. And, that's what you do with players, because we don't want to hold guys back from moving on with their careers, and we give them the opportunity to, to go out and challenge themselves a little bit more and let them find out how good they are.
And with Joe Harris, of course, doing that from the American Association, Fargo-Moorhead is where he was the last 4 years in North Dakota. It sounds to me, Mace, like there was a real understanding here and a deal made for the best interest of the player, but can it be a sticky situation sometimes? And do you ever worry about maintaining those good contacts and I guess you don't want to burn a bridge there for possible players down the line.
Well, you don't want to burn the bridge, and obviously I think burning the bridge would have been when we got Joe to York. Then if I would have called Doug and said, hey, I really don't want to send him back. We did exactly what the deal was. We brought him to York. The deal was to send him back, which we did, and we've done that in the past too. We did that with Gonzalez. I'm trying to think now. I'm sorry. Martinez, the pitcher we had, we did it with Schumacher.
Mm-hmm.
We tried to do it with the left-hander that we acquired back in 2010, and his name escapes me now. I'm trying to remember. So many names.
Chris
but anyway, we have done that in the past with the American Association. We've probably brought 4 or 5 players, maybe more, for here, and since I've been here at the end of the season. And we're not the only team that does that. Teams that are trying to get to the postseason or that are already in the postseason, you do try to bring in some quality arms or some hitters that our league has not seen before, and that gives guys an opportunity, kind of the element of surprise. And by the time you're on to a starting pitcher, it's usually the 5th or 6th inning, and then you're into your bullpen, so they really don't get a good look at him. And being that they had never seen him before, it gives you a little bit of an advantage, I think.
Yeah. Chris Sahlberg is who you were thinking of from 2010?
Who was that again?
Sahlberg from...
Yeah. Sahlberg, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think Kevin Angel, too, right? We did it with Angel, we did it with Sahlberg, we did it with Schumacher, Gino Gonzalez, right?
Mm-hmm, yep.
Yeah, so, those are the guys that are, most recent in my mind.
Yeah. Talking with Mace by phone today. Joe Harris is our first player announced here this week, and 28 years old, 4 years in Fargo, and do you see guys, and he's still fairly young, 4 seasons there, heading into his 5th pro season. Do you see guys who come from the smaller school, Wilmington College, where he was, and kind of blossom in that environment in the American Association? Do you see guys is that almost like his farm system, and now he takes that next step this year, and hopefully for him catches somebody's eye?
Well, I hope so. That's the opportunity that we're presenting him. I know he was probably one of the better the left-handed relievers in that league for the past couple of years, so I'm a believer in when it comes to pitching, it doesn't matter if you're pitching in Division III or Division I. If you have good stuff, you have good stuff, and you can get hitters out. I think it's a little harder to rate a hitter coming out of Division III because not all pitchers there are the quality that you might see at a Division I program. But pitching, if guys can throw 95 mile an hour, if they have a great changeup or a splitter or a cutter, whatever it might be, you can see that no matter what level they're pitching at. So, this will be an opportunity, I think, for Joe to see more seasoned hitters on a regular basis. No classifications in our league, which makes our league better. As far as overall competition. So usually if you can put up some good numbers here, I think they mean a little bit more, and it should give him a better opportunity to get signed and go with an affiliate.
All right, big part of the bullpen, Joe Harris signed for 2015. We've got 2 more to go here on this program, and we'll do those next. You're listening to Revs Hot Stove Weekly. More with Mace coming up as well. More with Joe, who's here in studio with us. And one of our 2 remaining player signings, also an interview with that particular ball player, still to come this week. We'll be back with more of Revs Hot Stove Weekly here after this.
Security in life isn't something you just wish for. You build it with a strong financial plan. Start with Northwestern Mutual. Together, we'll design a disciplined and balanced approach to financial security, because reaching your goals is something we both want to work toward. To learn more, contact me, Dan McGarry, at my office on the Square in York. Look for the blue awnings. Who's helping you build your financial future? The Northwestern Mutual Life Insurance Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Hey Revs fans, the York Evolution is holding an individual ticket sale party this Saturday, March 7th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The first 100 people to purchase a ticket will get a free York Evolution fitted hat. And also Revs fans, after you purchase your individual game tickets, let your voice be heard on York's local sports station, Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. Stop by the new WOYK 1350 studio located just across from the Apple Chevrolet ticket office. Stop on in and record a plug letting all of York County know you listen to Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
After claiming their 10th straight district title, the York Catholic girls start the quest for their first state title since 2008 on the high school basketball game of the week presented by WellSpan Sports Medicine Friday night. I'm Ron Ruman. Andy Bria and I have the call as the Irish take on District 2 3-seed Holy Cross. York Catholic's senior-laden squad will need its experience against a talented Lady Crusader team led by Coach Barry Fitzgerald, who won his 500th career game earlier this year. York Catholic Holy Cross in the girls' state tournament Friday at 7 on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
The new Wyndham Garden York, formerly the Holiday Inn by the West Manchester Mall, has been fully renovated and remodeled. With 177 upgraded guest rooms, over 16,000 square feet of meeting space, 2 large ballrooms, indoor and outdoor pools, a much larger fitness center, a new business center, and free Wi-Fi throughout. The new Fender's Grill and Pub features American cuisine in a casual atmosphere using local meats, produce, wine, and craft beers. The new Wyndham Garden, 2000 Loucks Road in York. Stop in or call us at 846-9500.
Black Cap Brewing Company is a new brew pub featuring 8 taps of fresh, high-quality craft beer brewed on premises. Enjoy a variety of pub food, including appetizers, soups, panini sandwiches, and desserts, which are prepared by Red Lion's own Red Brick Bakery. Enjoy a casual, inviting, and family-friendly atmosphere as you relax with family and friends while enjoying some of the area's finest craft beer at Black Cap Brewing Company, located at 5 West High Street and Red Lion. Open Thursdays from 4 to 9 p.m. and Fridays and Saturdays from 3 to 10. Check out Black Cap Brewing Company online at blackcapbrew.com and on Facebook.
This is Bo Vaughn of the York Revolution. Catch the Revs all season right here on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Joe, were you part of the group last year at Somerset that did the walk up and down the bullpen with Bo that one night? Were you part of that?
No, I wasn't.
No.
That was one of my first days here, so I was just kind of didn't want to get into anything that early.
Nothing too crazy just yet. Well, moving along, our 2 more signings to go on this show, and the next one is on the other side of the battery, and this should fill out the catching position for the Revs this season. Of course, Salvador Paniagua was part of our first batch, and the second one announced here this week, none other than Mr. Espy. Alberto Espinoza is returning as well, and Joe's still here in studio with me, so I want to get your thoughts on the fact that Paniagua returning and now Alberto Espinoza returning as well. Your thoughts being a pitcher that throws to those 2 guys and how good they are defensively, and also with knowing the league and handling the game and all of that stuff.
I mean, it's great to have 2 of your catchers returning from last year. A lot of it is chemistry with your catcher. Hardest thing to do with a new guy is learn each other. You bring a new catcher in, he's got to learn not only you, but 10, 12 other guys on a staff. A lot of guys that it seems that are returning, so we're going to have that chemistry built right off the get-go. Both of them, real good, solid behind the plate receiving the ball. You trust them. You get up and account to Barry something that they're going to go and block it.
Yeah, and just from your perspective last year, when you joined the team, how long did it take you to get to know their setup? I mean, if you didn't really need to, how long did it take them to get to know you?
I had known SB since 2011.
Oh, yeah.
I played with him down in a showcase down in Florida for the Devil Rays old spring training complex.
Mm-hmm.
So I had been familiar with him, kept in touch with him through the years. And
opponents, right?
Yeah.
In the association?
Yep,
Yeah.
Never played with him there.
Yeah.
But knew he was here, so it was nice to see a familiar face when I got here.
Yeah. Well, and he'll be entering his second season in York. Last year, 49 games played, 46 of those were starts behind the plate. Second, of course, behind Paniagua. He hit .210, but from May 31st on, he hit .252. And we'll get Mace's thoughts on Espinosa's offensive development as the season went on, and certainly went through some hot stretches during the course as well. Also 28 years old, so actually, as we get on with the show, all three of our player signings this week are the same age, but former 15th round draft pick of the Royals in 2008, a couple of seasons there, and then the next 3 years in the American Association, combined to hit 19 home runs in that league. Certainly has raw power, and I guess maybe the one thing the coaching staff is looking for is a little more offensive consistency this season, but we certainly saw what he was capable of last year, especially after that first month had gotten under his belt, and definitely no question about what he's able to do defensively. So once again, Mace joins us. We caught up with the skipper on the phone earlier this morning and getting his thoughts on the return of Alberto Espinosa to his roster here this season. All right, so Mace, another signing this week. Alberto Espinosa is returning for 2015, and what did you see from him last year, bringing him in, expecting him to be Paniagua's backup, and with what you expect from your backup catcher, did he give you what you wanted?
Well, he did give me what we wanted from the defensive side. Obviously, he had a relationship with Keanu, and basically every time Allen pitched, I had SB in there because they did have a relationship and they worked really well together. But besides that, he did a great job calling games with all the pitchers. He's a great guy to have on your team. He's unselfish. He'll do everything that you ask. He'll catch 100 bullpens a day if you want him to. And he's a guy that he loves the game and he loves being in York, and he's really happy to do whatever we ask of him, and he gives you 100% when he's in the game. But when you're looking at the backup catcher, you really want a guy that can catch and throw and call a good game. That's the most important thing. Play good defense, be a leader out there, move your guys around. But the hitting, he had spurts last year. There were some times where it was really good, times where he struggled. But, he was always working at it. And, he even tried to switch it for a while in the middle of the season. And I thought that actually was going to help him when he went back to the right side, too, just get him a little more patient. And those kind of things. He's another guy like Paniagua. They have a ton of power to the pull side, but they have to be more patient to try to hit the ball the other way. And I think if SB works on that a lot again this year, I think he'll be a better offensive player for us. And I think with a year under his belt now, he knows what to expect here.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going with the next thought. I mean, he's got a year here. Do you expect to see him get a little more consistent at the plate? And is that the biggest thing to doing that? I mean, I guess it's the same thing that Paniagua went through a few years ago when he was new to the league, was just trying to take what pitchers give him.
I do, and excuse me, and I think that for SB, I think when you're coming into this league, you might see a little more velocity on a regular basis than you might see in the American Association. So I think the tendency is always you want to be, quick. You want to try to get out there as quick as you can, and it makes you kind of susceptible to the off-speed away, which I believe has probably been, his weakness as a hitter, maybe his whole career. So, I just think it's a work in progress. He definitely knows how to do it because we work on it in batting practice, and I know he can do that. But when you get in the game, obviously things get a little bit quicker, and sometimes it's not as easy to do that.
So with pairing him with Paniagua as your catching tandem this season, how would you stack that up around the league as far as defensive guys, catch and throw guys that your pitchers are comfortable with, and maybe every bit as importantly, guys that know the league now and know the hitters, especially Paniagua, who's been here for so long?
Well, definitely the knowledge is going to make them both better. I mean, Sal, we know what Sal can do. We've talked about Sal before, but SB did a great job back here last year, too. And I really thought last year, as far as the league went, I thought that we had the best catching in the league. There's one guy, Louis Rodriguez, even though he might be 40 years old, he still is he's still a tough guy to run on up in Bridgeport, but I really thought that Panny and SB did a great job defensively, and there were teams looking for catchers all year that I think never really found one, and we were fortunate enough to have two, and when Flores came in at the end, actually 3 solid catchers, so we were really fortunate last year in that regard.
Yeah, one thing, if you just look at the stats, that was a definite improvement from the year before. A huge drop-off in the number of wild pitches and pass balls, and I guess you've got to look at that and value that, right? I mean, that falls a lot, obviously, on the shoulders of those two guys.
It does, and especially the pass ball. I mean, wild pitches. I mean, that's on the pitcher, and there's nothing sometimes you can do about that as the catcher. But pass ball sometimes I think is just laziness, for lack of a better word. I think sometimes guys can get a little tired back there. It's a long season. If it's hot and you play multiple days in a row, I think sometimes it's concentration and getting a little bit lazy, which is why we try to move the guys in and out and try to keep them as fresh as we can. But the pass balls is the big thing that I look at, and I thought the guys did a great job on that. And I also thought they did a great job on blocking the wild pitches and not letting stuff get too far away from us where runners would have a chance to advance.
Well, and obviously, Alberto Espinoza re-signing with the Revs, as we just announced here, and obviously your catchers have to be students of the game and always in tune with what's going on everywhere in the field, really. When you saw Espinoza, maybe even on the days that he wasn't in the game, what kind of student of the game did you see with him as far as, just kind of paying attention and picking up tendencies and watching hitters that he's going to be calling pitches against maybe the next night?
Well, he was always around us in the dugout where we could talk about what was going on, how we would like to attack certain hitters, just so he would have an idea when he got in there. He was always around the pitcher that was charting the game that night, so they could have an idea moving into the next day what the plan of attack would be. And I think that's something that Fletcher and we try to talk to the pitchers and catchers a lot, before the game, during the game, if we have to make adjustments on where we would like to pitch guys and how we would like to pitch them. So I think that SB was definitely right there for all of that, and he wanted to be a sponge and get as much information as he could. I know that he never wanted to let us down or the team down, so he played hard and he played fearless, which I like, and but he did have a good feel for the game and the pitchers as well.
And, given how important that position is, what kind of comfort level does that give you, knowing that position is pretty much taken care of? You've got those two guys locked up heading into this season.
That's huge for us. It's in a lot of ways they're both great guys, and they're both very talented behind the plate, and they also have knowledge of the league. They have a year with us in York. And Panny obviously has more than that, but, so I know what to expect of them, and they know what to expect from me, and, a lot of our pitching staff, So there'll be a familiarity there. There won't be such a big learning curve, and I think that should help make us better right out of the gate, where we're not having that honeymoon period where guys are trying to figure each other out and, what they want to do and what they like to do. So we should be a little ahead of the curve, I think, coming out of spring training.
And there you have it. Mace joining us earlier this morning talking about Alberto Espinosa's signing. So Joe Harris, Alberto Espinosa, the two that are back so far here this week. One to go here on this edition. We'll talk to Mace about our third signing, and we'll hear from this guy directly as well as Revs Hot Stove Weekly continues in just a moment here on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Hey Revs fans, the York Evolution is holding an individual ticket sale party this Saturday, March 7th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. The first 100 people to purchase a ticket will get a free York Evolution fitted hat. And also Revs fans, after you purchase your individual game tickets, let your voice be heard on York's local sports station, Sports Radio 1350 WOYK. Stop by the new WOYK 1350 studio located just across from the Apple Chevrolet ticket office. Stop on in and record a plug letting all of York County know you listen to Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
York Adams champion West York starts its state tournament run Saturday on the high school basketball game of the week presented by WellSpan Sports Medicine. I'm Ron Ruman, and I'll have the action as the Bulldogs hit the road to face District 2 runner-up North Pocono all the way up in Scranton. As the District 3 3-seed, West York expected a game closer to home. Can they use the PIAA snub as motivation? Find out Saturday at 12:30 on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Get ready for winter now and save big on your heating oil or propane costs. Call today to schedule your first fill, and don't forget to ask our energy advisors about the right money-saving plan or budget to fit your lifestyle. Lock in your rate and protect your price all winter. Our price-protected customers save an average of $325 per year. Visit ShipleyEnergy.com or call 855-4SHIPLEY to schedule your next heating oil or propane delivery. Shipley Energy, energy for life.
The new Wyndham Garden York, formerly the Holiday Inn by the West Manchester Mall, has been fully renovated and remodeled. With 177 upgraded guest rooms, over 16,000 square feet of meeting space, 2 large ballrooms, indoor and outdoor pools, a much larger fitness center, a new business center, and free Wi-Fi throughout. The new Fender's Grill and Pub features American cuisine in a casual atmosphere using local meats, produce, wine, and craft beers. The new Wyndham Garden, 2000 Loucks Road in York. Stop in or call us at 846-9500.
This is Anthony LaRue of the York Revolution. Catch the Revs all season right here on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.
Here on Revs Hot Stove Weekly, another player signing still to announce before this week's batch is officially unveiled. Joe Harris and Alberto Espinosa thus far. By the way, welcome to the mic, Ray.
Oh, thank you, Daryl. I mean, it was, I can't fill in as well as Joe did for Mace, but I'm going to try.
Joe was awesome. Great to have him live in studio, and Ray is now our talking producer and show director and all of that, whatever titles we can bestow upon him here today. So it is time to unveil our third signing of this week. And back to the bullpen we go, and another lefty, and this one is a new one for the Revs, not new to the Atlantic League, though. Sean Tuffle signing with York. He is the son of longtime big league infielder Tim Tuffle. Sean played in Camden, pitched in Camden last season, and finished the year with an overall mark 0-1, 5.40 ERA, and 46 appearances. But if you dig a little bit deeper here, often used in matchup situations, he held left-hand hitters to the low 200s, and excellent in the second half of the season. We're going to hear from him here shortly. He was coming off an injury from a season before, so maybe it took him a little while to start to get comfortable again, but from July 12th on, allowed just 5 earned runs. That was over 30 appearances, 15 2/3 innings, but 30 appearances, only 9 hits during that time, and a scoreless streak of 17 straight outings from July 12th through August 21st. So we mentioned he's the son of Tim Tuffle. Sean originally drafted by the Tigers, 25th round in 2010, out of Liberty University in Virginia. And early in his career, he used as a long reliever and a starter. His first year in the Tigers system combined to post a 2.57 ERA at 3 different levels. And then the following year in 2011, had a good year at High A, earned his first bump to AAA Toledo, where he had an outstanding start in his AAA debut, actually beat his dad's team, the Buffalo Bisons. Tim was managing that team at the time, and Sean went 6 scoreless, gave up just 3 hits, made 2 more starts at AAA the following year, and then after a few years in the Tigers system, signed to pitch in the Mets organization in 2013. And by the way, his dad, Tim, is currently the Mets' third base coach, and of course played for the Mets at one point, one of the teams that he played for in the big leagues. So an interesting story, interesting background for sure, and able to catch up with Sean Tuffle the other day, and we asked him about the process of signing on the dotted line and joining the Revs here in York.
Talked to my agent a little bit and gave him kind of a few teams that I was looking towards, and York was one of them. And it just came to works where it worked out well, and it kind of was a good fit. I know guys needed another lefty in the bullpen, and it just kind of worked out.
Well, and we've heard from guys around the league that have played here in York as opposing players, and they really enjoy it. Are you one of those guys? Did you kind of like the atmosphere when you were here last year, and did that kind of make you want to join us if you had the opportunity?
Yeah, it did. Being with Camden last year and visiting you guys, having to play you guys, definitely saw you guys really draw well, and you have a really good environment for the fans and everything. So it was a lot of fun to play there, and I'm glad it's going to be my home field.
What were your impressions of the league your first year in the Atlantic League last year with Camden? Obviously, I know you guys wanted to win more games there, but what was the experience like for you the first time around?
It wasn't too bad. The league was pretty competitive. Your middle of the order lineup. They're going to be your power hitters, and it didn't seem too far away from AA, AAA talent. And that's what I was looking for. I was looking for a challenge and looking to still play competitive baseball.
How did you end up becoming a reliever? I know earlier in your career, as a lot of guys do, you had a couple of years where you primarily started, but how did you make the transition, and do you feel like that's the best place for you? Is that where you're most comfortable?
Yeah. Right now, I feel like that's where I'm going to pitch from, and it just kind of came to be when after I got released from the Tigers, I went over to the Mets, and the pitching coordinator there kind of said, "Hey, I think you can go underneath," and that's where we kind of started to experiment a little bit. And then after a few weeks, I went straight to AA and was pitching, and did pretty well until I had a little injury. My back just got kind of tight, and so it was kind of one of those things where I feel like it was a comfortable arm slot, and now that I've developed for the last couple years, I think now I'm at a good spot where I repeat it and I can be really competitive with it.
Talking with Sean Tuffle, the newest member of the Revs heading into the new season, and that was kind of my next question. How long does it take you to really get comfortable with something like that? And is it something that you played around with on the side before you really made the decision to go that direction full time, the arm slot?
Well, it kind of was like, all right, do I want to decide to go underneath? And then I made the decision that yes, I wanted to, and then it was finding a comfortable release point and a comfortable slot to where I could be consistent with it. During that first year, I was kind of a little bit higher, a little bit lower, trying to find that slot that felt comfortable. And I used to play infield too back in college, so I was a first baseman. I kind of turned double plays that way, and so it kind of felt a little more natural than probably throwing all over the top the whole time. So I think now that I've had a couple years under my belt, it's a lot more comfortable than it used to be.
I know your dad played infield, obviously, but was pitching something that you did from an early age in addition to first base?
Just a little bit here and there.
I didn't pitch a whole lot, and then once I got to college, I was a first baseman primarily, so until my last 2 years, and that's when I ended up getting drafted and all that. So, but yeah, I pitched here and there, but I was primarily a position player.
So when you make the move to going from down under, do you have to have somebody that's done that as a pitching coach that can kind of, relate to what you're doing, or not so much? Were you able to learn it on your own a little bit?
Well, no, it definitely helped having someone who knew the mechanics of it and kind of could tell me, hey, you're doing this, you're doing that, and give me some correction along the way. But now that I'm 2 years in, I feel like I've developed the lingo and all that all the mechanics that go with it. So now it's just informing whoever I'm with that, hey, like, this is what I've done in the past, and this is what what I've had trouble with. Can you just keep an eye on it? And that's kind of how I've worked it from there.
Talking with Sean Tuffle. So you grew up around baseball, obviously. What are your memories like from childhood, being around major league ballparks, and is that something that helped you kind of dive in right away to the pro baseball life?
Yeah, it did. I was always, I was comfortable in the clubhouse. I was around the clubhouse at a young age, so it wasn't anything, foreign to me. But yeah, I mean, I've been around baseball my whole life. I've grown up in it, and it's something that's, it's a place where I'm really comfortable, and I love playing, and I'm still playing at age 28. So it's something that I'll love and always love. Whether I continue to play, for the following years, or whether I am playing catch with my son later on in life. So.
Well, and you told me that this off season you're in Canada. Do you have to be a hockey fan also, or are you completely out of your element up there?
I'm a little out of my element. There's a lot of hockey up here, and I kind of knew that, but I didn't realize how big it was until I got up here. But yeah, my wife's from here, and so that's where I've been. That's where I've spent my off season, and just getting ready for the season up here. But yeah, there's a little bit of baseball, but not too much.
Yes. So where exactly are you in Canada right now?
Calgary, Alberta.
Oh, okay. Nice city?
Yeah, it's nice. Very nice. Supposedly one of the cleanest cities in the world, so
okay.
It's a nice place to be. A little cold at times, but not too bad.
Have you been to the Saddle Dome yet for a Flames game?
I have, yeah. Went before Christmas, so yeah, it was good to check out a hockey game and see downtown Calgary.
Yeah, well, and I feel like I ask everybody this because we've had such a brutal winter in York, and we're expecting to get more snow this week. But what is the winter like where you are? I mean, we probably have no room to complain compared to what you're dealing with.
Yeah, well, actually, this winter wasn't as bad as it's been in the past. But it's still been, we still have our cold days. We still have, a lot of snow. Probably gets to. Lately, it's been minus 20 degrees Celsius, so it's still cold.
Well, and just to let the listeners get to know you a little bit, aside from baseball and working out right now, what are some of the other things you've done to spend the off season, or any other interests that you have away from the ball field?
Yeah, I mean, I love golf, so as most pitchers do, it's kind of one of my hobbies. I play the guitar on occasion, and yeah, that's about it. I've just been up here and spending some time with my wife, and she'll be coming down. She's a teacher up here, so she'll be coming down in July for the summer. So.
Okay. Will the guitar make road trips? I know some guys have done that before.
I'm not sure. I got to pack light, so I'm used to packing light, and normally the guitar doesn't make it. But.
All right, Sean Tuffle joining us, and good to add him to the mix as well. We're actually going to extend the show a little bit. We went over today, which is fine. We had Joe Harris in studio with us. and a lot of good stuff to talk about with him. Also a lot to discuss with Mace over the phone, and probably had more material with Mace than 1 hour would permit, so we have one more segment with the manager. And before we do that, here at the top of the hour, let's pause 10 seconds for station identification here on Revolution Radio.
First in York, first in sports. Your only local sports station. The new Sports Radio 1350, WOYK, York, Pennsylvania.
All right, so we'll spill a little bit over into the 5 o'clock hour, one more segment with Mace, and then we'll join Under Center with McNabb and Malone in progress. But we also talked with Mace about Sean Tuffle's signing, and again caught up with the skipper by phone earlier today. Well, Mace, we have a second left-handed reliever signed here this week. Sean Tuffle added, and obviously you had a chance to see him a lot when we were playing Camden last season. Give us your initial thoughts on him, what stood out about what he can bring to your team, and you know, why you wanted to go out and get him.
The thing that I liked about Sean, when he first came into the league, you know, I thought that it was a little rough around the edges. I thought he could be really tough on left-handed hitters. And for the most part, you know, he was in the beginning when he was with Camden, but then I thought he really got better as the season went on, and they used him a lot in those situations, and even extended innings. They gave him multiple innings sometimes, which I like to. I like to be able to do that with the relievers. So basically, I looked at Sean as somebody that could come in and be pretty tough on left-handers, a little bit of a different throwing motion, you know, not quite over the top, you know, a little bit down on the side, and all those things, you know, a little deceptiveness makes it a little tougher on the hitter. And I just like the way he competed too. I thought he was a great competitor. You could tell he took seriously everything that he did when he was out there, and he had great focus. And you know, he's a good guy. Comes from a good baseball family, and I just think he's somebody that can help us.
So this week alone, you announced the signing of Joe Harris and Sean Tuffle, and obviously two different style of left-handed relievers out of the bullpen. But how important of a position is that, and how important is it for you to get maybe some different looks out there? Like we said, two very different guys, but I think two guys who should help the bullpen immensely this season.
Well, they definitely give us different looks, and I'm a fan of left-handed relievers in this league. I think left-handers do have a lot of success. So, you know, we've seen it with Rami, we saw it with Hendrickson, we've seen it with Paredes, you know, and obviously Joe Harris last year for the little bit of time he was here did a great job. And I thought Sean did a good job overall in Camden, too. So I like having left-handed relievers. I like having power left-handers. I like having soft-throwing left-handers. I like the left-hander that throws from down under. All those things, you know, I think when you can keep giving the left-handed hitter on the other team a different look, one time they might get Paredes, one time they get Joe Harris, next time they get Sean Tuffle. You know, I mean, it's hard when the same guy's seeing different left-handers in the series. You just can't lock into one guy. So I think that makes us more balanced. I think it gives us more options, and it also gives the hitter a different look all the time, which I'm a fan of.
Yeah, you mentioned some of his successes. He held left-handers to the low 200s last year, and that got even better as the season went on. July 12th on, Mace, he allowed just 5 earned runs in 15 2/3 innings, 30 appearances. He had a scoreless streak at one point of 17 straight outings. And I know there were times in the second half where we saw him, and he was on his game. And he had mentioned to us that he had an injury situation a year or two before that. So do you think maybe it was also a matter of him getting that comfort level again and trusting what he was doing? And, of course, at some point along the line he switched arm angles. So maybe with him it was a matter of time, and there in the second half you saw what he's really capable of?
I do think so. You know, I think anytime guys are coming off injuries, there's a psychological part that you have to get over, even though you're physically, back to where you need to be. Sometimes psychologically, you're always a little afraid. And I think, last year in Camden, he was able to work that out. I know every time it seemed like Patterson came up to bat, it seemed like Tuffle was in the game. Once we got beyond the sixth inning last year. So, I thought Sean, I just thought he did a great job. I think he got more comfortable with himself. We saw that with Matt Fox a couple of years ago when he came into camp. I thought he was 100%. Maybe he didn't. And, I kind of used him in spring training in ways that would make him push himself so he would understand that he was healthy. And then once he was able to get over that, obviously he got signed and was able to get out of the league. So I just think sometimes guys need to work it out mentally. And once they do that, then the talent takes over and, they're back to being real productive and, and very good.
Well, just like Harris, Tuffle, also 28 years old heading into the season, and he was a free agent, no exchange of rights or anything to get him. So what was your conversation like with him, and is he another guy that saw York and saw it as an attractive place to come to if he had the opportunity?
Well, I definitely think most of the guys in the league would come here. I get a lot of phone calls from players and agents, and we do have a lot of guys that want to come here, and I'm not going to apologize for that. I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
I think we've worked hard to put ourselves in that position to where players want to come and play in the Atlantic League. So, obviously we're happy about that and we're proud of that. But, just in talking with Sean, basically, he knew what we were about. He said he liked the way that we ran our club and the way we treated our guys and how hard the players played and the talent level that we had. So he was seeing some things from the other dugout that he liked about us too, and we were seeing some things that we liked about him. So once I contacted him, he was really excited to have the opportunity, and he jumped on it pretty quick.
Well, very good, Mace. Exciting stuff this week. Good to see the additions, and they'll keep coming next week again at 4 o'clock, of course, and safe travels back. And I'm wondering how excited you are to do a show in the warmth of our new studio. Joe Harris has your seat today, but you looking forward to getting over there next week?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, I look forward to getting in the studio, and, that'll be fun. I'm sure it'll be a little warmer than the press box was the past couple shows, but it'll be a lot of fun, and this is I'm having a great time doing this show. I hope the fans enjoy it. It's fun for us to announce our players this way, and it's fun for the players too. I know they enjoy getting interviewed and being a part of the process. So hopefully a few more weeks, and before you know it, about a month from next weekend, we'll be in spring training. So time is flying, and the roster's filling up, so we're feeling good about where we are.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, doing the show every week, it actually does make this time of year go way faster. We know that every Friday we have this to look forward to, and the days leading up to it. So it won't be long at all, and obviously we can't give away any other names yet, but what do you think the excitement level will be like for our fans with some of the signings still to come? I mean, you and I were talking off air about some of the things that you're working on, and I get the feeling that our fans are going to be pretty excited for this team come April 24th.
I would agree. I don't want to, we don't want to downplay, obviously, the signings that we've announced so far, but, I just think overall, top to bottom, this is going to be a fun team to watch. I think at the end of the day, there'll be a lot of familiar faces, but there's going to be a lot of new faces too, and I think the talent level is going to be very high. I think the players that are coming in they have a mission. A lot of guys that were here last year, they want to win. They're here to win, and if they get signed, that's a bonus for them right now. So we have a lot of guys with great attitude coming in, and it should be a lot of fun. We have some characters too, which always makes it entertaining. But I believe we'll have a great clubhouse, and it should be a lot of fun.
And lastly, Mace, before I let you go for this week, is there any difference this offseason in attracting guys coming off the success that we had last year as opposed to the year before when you were kind of looking to reshape things a little bit? Is it at all different, or is it always different for a new year and kind of the same message of selling guys on coming to York and the things that we do best here?
I mean, I think it's been pretty much the same for a while. I don't think that the winning, losing is as big a part of what the players look for as opposed to, how players get treated, how many guys get signed from playing here, and, how you run your organization. I mean, you sometimes you just don't always win, but sometimes you still treat players the right way, which that happens from our front office and our fans. They treat the players the right way. I think as a coaching staff, we've done a good job with players over the years, and I think that word gets around. So, I think it's a combination of all those things. Winning obviously never hurts, but I think, the fan base, the front office, and the way the coaching staff treats the guys, and the type of guys that we bring into York that are, they get along, and it's a lot of fun. We try to keep it fun, and we try to keep it light. And as long as the guys go out there and perform and play hard, I mean, that's all you can ask for. And usually when guys do those things, that leads to success and wins. So, it's been fun, but it is fun, too, to see a lot of guys that contact us that are with other teams that basically I have to tell them, I really can't do anything for you because you've been protected or, whatever happens. But it is nice to get a lot of phone calls and, have a lot of guys that want to come and play here.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of work behind the scenes that goes into creating that, and Mace, great job with these three this week, and for joining us. Safe travels back, and looking forward to having you in studio next week.
It was my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, thanks to Mace. Thank you all for listening. So we spilled a little bit over 5 o'clock, but we've done far worse, trust me. So we over-prepared a little bit for this week's show, but a lot of good info and interviews and everything, and I want to thank Joe Harris for joining us in studio, Sean Tuffle for taking the time by phone, and of course Mace, who we remoted in to be our co-host of sorts here this week, and of course the man on the board, Ray Jensen. We will have 3 more we're looking at for next week at 4 o'clock on Revs Hot Stove Weekly. Also, coming up tonight here on the station, the state playoffs begin for high school basketball. York Catholic against Holy Cross. That game is at Red Lion. York Catholic, with their high seed, gets a chance to play in York County. We'll have it for you beginning at 7 on our high school game of the week, presented by WellSpan Sports Medicine. And tomorrow, the West York girls will take on North Pocono up in the Scranton area. And we'll have that one for you beginning at about 12:30. With the pregame show. So basketball playoffs coming up this weekend. Thanks a lot for listening as we extended our show a little bit past 5 today, but thanks for sticking with us, and we'll talk with you next week. Right now, we will join Under Center with McNabb and Malone in progress here on Sports Radio 1350 WOYK.